I'm Kathy Angelo, moderator for the Amateur Music Network's Piano Conversations with Paul Hersh, and I'm meeting today with Yeong Min, who is one of the four talented artists featured in this series. Thank you for being part of this exciting series, Yeong.
Thank you, Kathy.
I know you've had a career in science and then traded that in for a pursuit in music. How long have you known Paul and studied with him?
I met Paul in 2007 when I auditioned for the San Francisco Conservatory piano department. And prior to that, I had left my science research position in biotech in 1997 and started teaching piano and also studying myself with privately with various teachers in the area. And when my second daughter went off to college, I thought, okay, this is my chance to really immerse myself in music. And really, I had never really done music full time. So I wanted to do that. And the teacher I was studying with at the time, before I auditioned for the conservatory, said that Paul Hersh might be a good fit for me. So, and then I've known him ever since then, and I've actually, been in his studio classes since then, and performed with him, and acted as his teaching assistant for his graduate seminar classes as well.
So it's been a pretty close relationship then.
Yeah, we're very close. Yeah, for 15 years we've known
Wow.
each other. Yeah.
So, in selecting repertoire for this series and knowing Paul's passion for Schubert's piano music, we definitely wanted to include one of Schubert's pieces. Paul suggested that you played the Klavierstucke. So, this piece has an interesting history in that Schubert crossed out the second trio, which means pianists have to make a choice to include it or not. What was your decision and why?
Yeah, so this is interesting because when I was playing this piece, in the edition that I was using, there was no second trio printed, and I didn't even know there was a second trio. And then Paul was performing it uh, around then as well, and he played the second trio, and I said, "What is this?" And I discovered that it was printed in his score, but it had a note that it was had been crossed out in Schubert's manuscript. So I went looking online for it. I remember I was on a bus from Washington, D.C. to New York, and they had Wi-Fi on the bus. So, so I did some research, and I was really excited to find the manuscript and to see the emphatic way that Schubert had crossed out the 152 measures in the manuscript. I mean, he didn't just cross it out like this. He like X'd it out with big bold lines. And just seeing that told me that he really didn't want this to be played. But Paul's point was this the second trio is so beautiful, he couldn't not play it.
Right. How could you not include it?
Yeah.
When you think about the overall form of the piece being a rondo form, that C section being the second trio is kind of important. Do you think he was concerned about it becoming too long? I mean, Schubert.
Yeah, it's interesting because in the three piano pieces in that set, the second piece also has ABACA form, and but then the third piece is shorter. So I wonder if he wanted it balanced a little bit more in terms of the length, the first one being shorter than the second.
Hmm.
I
So
don't know.
it was interesting. It wasn't, when I did a little research on it, it was interesting that it wasn't published until quite some time after his death, about 40 years.
Mhm.
I believe Brahms was the one that sent it to a publisher, edited and sent it to the publisher, and put that trio back in and made
Yeah, anonymously.
right.
Yeah,
Seeing he was a composer and he made that choice after seeing that original manuscript with Schubert's emphatic crossing out. Um, I wonder how composers would feel about that after the fact.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I wonder that too. And apparently, people have been playing that for 150 years after it was published with the second trio. And then just more recently, people have started leaving it out because maybe there's more of a tendency to, respect the composer's wishes.
So how are you going to handle it next week?
Well, I plan to play it without the second trio. And then I thought I would just play the second trio by itself just to show people what it sounds like.
Right. Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
good way to manage it. So we can have a discussion about it because I'm sure it will generate some interesting responses,
Yeah. Yeah.
especially from Paul, since he included it. And
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see what the other pianists, how they weigh in.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
I mean, it is such a beautiful trio. I have to agree with Paul that
Yeah.
that tendency not to include it would be a hard decision.
Yeah. I think it's beautiful too. So yeah, it's hard for me not to, you know, think about playing it. But on the other hand, I don't know. I think I want to do what Schubert wanted us to do.
I mean, this was written almost was it the last year of his life where he was feverishly writing so much stuff because he knew his time was coming to an end. I
Yeah.
wonder if he thought about a different trio and something, and so he had another plan for that C section and just didn't get to it.
Yeah, perhaps. Yeah. Yeah. It was only 6 months before he died.
Right,
Yeah.
right, and sad that he didn't have notes in there to be able to say, I have something else planned
Right.
to for generations to follow to know what to do.
Yeah.
So the other thing I wanted to ask you about, because I know you attend Paul's piano classes in his studio in Mill Valley on a regular basis, can you talk about that experience and benefits you gain from playing for Paul and other pianists and getting their feedback on pieces that they probably know as well as you do?
Hmm. Yeah. It's it's been an incredible experience. I mean, I get so much from everyone who's there. It's and the number of us varies from week to week. We meet every 2 weeks actually, and every pianist has a different style, and so we benefit from hearing about what they think about how to play something, and of course, Paul. I mean, he's just um, he's just amazing. I mean, it's uh, just the depth of his feeling for the music, and also just his perspective as both a pianist and violist,
Right.
and having played so much repertoire um, for so many years. It's been a really amazing experience for me.
And also to get pianists to talk about how they're going to make those decisions and find meaning out of the music they play, that it by showing them this is how it works for me and challenging you to think about why are you making that choice, why are you playing this phrase in this way when the composer has it marked differently
Yeah,
perhaps.
right, right. And also, it's good to be able to play things differently than you usually do. They challenge you to do it differently on the spot,
Right, right.
and so you have to be flexible enough to be able to do that.
And then ultimately you make the choice
Right, right.
what works best.
You have to have a good reason. Right.
Exactly. And that's the thing he challenges you about is if you're doing it differently than others or what the composer intended, why?
Right.
Explain
Yeah.
why. Where did you come up with that idea?
Yeah. And why are you slowing down here when it doesn't say retard?
And he's got pianists in there that have opposing points of view, that that's interesting because it makes you think about the choices you make.
Right. And it's just, I mean, Paul is so wonderful because he is so open to, people's suggestions. He used to play for us and have us comment on his playing, which is amazing,
Right, right,
for someone of his stature to do that. So,
right.
yeah.
That it's a more of a colleague experience as opposed to master teacher student.
Yeah, and I think it's just really fundamentally, he's just curious about music and and about everything, and so he welcomes everyone's thoughts and feelings, and so
Right.
it's very inclusive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great just to observe, which is the reason Lala Lewis wanted to record or put this series together, is for other musicians to see this is really what you get at a conservatory for your education. You have to be able to discuss music, pull it apart, analyze, and come up with reasons for why you're playing it in such a way. But people would normally not have that opportunity to connect with someone like Paul.
Yeah, and I think he's very special.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
he's not your run of the mill ordinary teacher. I mean, he's
No.
very unique in the way he approaches
Yeah.
music and teaching.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I've been very blessed.
we all have.
Yeah, to know him.
And that he's continuing to run these studio classes.
Yeah. Yeah. I know.
Anyone, well, it's not just anyone, but pianists who want to participate,
Yeah. Yeah.
knowing what it entails.
Yeah. Yeah. He's very generous.
Yes,
Hmm.
very.
Yeah.
So the second session of the Piano Conversation series will focus on Schubert's piano music and will continue in much greater depth with Paul and Yeong on Wednesday, April 27 at 5:30 p.m. Please join AMN for an artistic dialogue of how musicians find meaning in the music they play. Yeong, thank you so much for meeting with me today, and I really look forward to this conversation on Schubert's Klavierstucke and
Yeah.
about that second trio.
Yeah. It should be fun.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks.